Hello members and supporters, welcome to the latest episode of the Rabbitohs Insider as we head towards the first leg of the Roncoot Cup, one of the biggest games of the year against the Sydney Roosters this Friday night at Stadium Australia. As we do each week, we catch up with John Sutton and Mark Ellison for the latest episode of The Playmakers, brought to you by Zoom Video Communications. After that, we have what you need to know about this big clash with the Sydney Roosters, brought to you by What If. Then we speak with Joe O'Callaghan, our head of Pathways, for our Pathways wrap-up, brought to you by What If. And finally, we'll have the latest instalment of our documentary, Glory Bound, as we take on the Roosters. Let's get into it. It was a big win against the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles last Saturday afternoon out at Lottoland. A great win in the wet, and there was some great play by your South Sydney Rabbitohs. John Sutton and Mark Ellison picked through it in the latest episode of The Playmakers, brought to you by Zoom Video Communications.
Hi once again, and welcome to the Zoom Video Communications Playmakers section. Again with us today we've got Johnny Sutton. How are you, mate?
I'm good, Marcus.
Yeah, a tough performance by the boys on the weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was really good performance in the conditions. You know, we got through our sets and scored some good tries, and our defence was up there too.
Yeah, but the conditions some of the worst that you've seen in your time?
Yeah, it wasn't great conditions, but the boys got the job done.
Yeah, we sort of changed our focus, didn't we? Last week we had a pretty slow start, but this week we got out of the blocks well and led 10-0.
Yeah, obviously we learned from the week before, which is good, and opened up with a really good try. I thought that tip-on from Latrell is just first class, and Cody finishing off. Talk
about playmakers. I mean, Cookie came back into his own this weekend, and I remember that first break he made in the first half. Do you think he could have nearly scored himself?
Yeah, definitely. I think if he pinned it for the corner, he would have got there. But in saying that, Cookie had a great game. Obviously, making breaks, scoring a try, and running down sub. That was a great chase back.
Just the effort that he showed to get there. And make a tackle on a guy that's twice his size. That was outstanding, considering he makes about 50 tackles a game too.
Yeah, obviously he's in the middle, tackling big blokes all the time. So for him to chase back and make the tackle was just a big play for us.
Yeah, and the last part of the game it looked an easy try in the end for Cookie when he got out of dummy half near the try line, Damien, and went himself. But the lead up from Benji and Nico was magnificent.
Yeah, it's awesome to see Benji just fit in wherever Wayne puts him on the field. He's got all the skill in the world, and to go through the line and flick the ball while he's on his knees was awesome. And Nico did a great job. He done a really good job to, get 30 odd metres down the field and hold the ball and set up the next play.
He's become a prolific try scorer, Nico, hasn't he?
He has. He scored a few tries last year, and he's scoring them all heaps of tries at training. So for him to hold the ball and just play the next play was really good of him.
He could have easily tried the miracle ball to help his try assist record as well, but he didn't.
Like Jaden tried to do with Cody.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but we might as well bag him as well. No, but another couple of good things in the game too. Renault's 40-20, just on half-time. And I think that try just on half-time gave us momentum into the second half, where we made a few errors and we struggled a bit getting out of our own half.
Yeah, Adam's kicking game is the best in the league, and for him to do it down that short side had to be pinpoint on the money, and he got it done. And then the boys just playing footy with 10 seconds to go, and Latrell scoring a try before the half was really gave us momentum going into that second half.
And even earlier than that, when Renault's put the little grubber in, probably it wasn't really an attacking kick, it was more a kick to try and get a repeat set. But in those conditions, the ball can bounce anyway.
Yeah, I think Renault had a really good game while he was on the field. I'm expecting big things from him this week against the Roosters, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It won't be like what happened last time we played against them. That was one of the things that you'll probably never see again happen. And there's been a lot of banter made about it, but we know how good the opposition is, and we know we've got to be at our best to beat them.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to respect the Roosters. They've come out firing this season, and it's a big challenge for us.
It is, mate, and we'll get to talk about it next week on the Playmakers.
40-20, 40-20, 40-20.
A great win there against the Seagulls, and we'll be looking for an even better performance against the Sydney Roosters this Friday night. Now, there's plenty that you need to know ahead of this big clash against our arch rivals. You'll get to know it all in our latest episode of What You Need to Know, brought to you by What If. Here's what you need to know about our Round 3 clash with the Sydney Roosters, brought to you by whatif.com, proud travel partner of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Did you know? Since 2019, Rabbitohs members and fans have saved over $10,000 using whatif.com/Rabbitohs. Here are 5 quick facts to watch out for as we travel to Stadium Australia this week. The last time these two sides met was in round 2020, when South Sydney recorded their biggest win over the Roosters. A 60-8 drubbing courtesy of a 5-try haul to Alex Johnston. No doubt this will serve as massive motivation for the Roosters as they look to make amends. There's no bigger matchup going around the game when Latrell Mitchell lines up against his former teammate in James Tedesco. Teddy sits equal first in points scored this season, with 24 off the back of a strong start to the year, crossing the stripe 5 times and registering 2 goals to boot. On the other hand, Latrell's pocketed 2 tries himself, but has shown to be worthy as a playmaker, with his finesse providing 2 tries for his outside men. At 34 years of age, Brett Morris is still proving his worth in the top grade. In the first 2 weeks of the competition, he's registered 6 tries. South Sydney as a whole have managed 8 collectively as a team. There's plenty of players that need to be shut down this Friday, and Morris is one of them. There's bound to be plenty of emotion come Friday night when former South Sydney players Angus Crichton and Luke Keary line up against their former club once more. Victor the Inflictor Radley returns on the bench for his first game since round 7 2020, and he's earmarked to jump on dummy half at stages throughout the match as cover for injured skipper Jake Friend. While the Roosters have been running hot this year, only once in the past 17 seasons have they won their first 3 matches. It'll take some work if history is to repeat itself. Travelling to the game this week? Remember, members get 15% off select hotels through whatif.com/Rabbitohs. Use the promo code Rabbitohs15 to enjoy these exclusive benefits. It's a big game in the NRL this weekend, but there are some equally big games for our Pathways teams, and we caught up with the head of Pathways, Joe O'Callaghan, for our Pathways wrap-up, brought to you by What If.
Hi guys, Joe Callaghan here with our Pathways wrap for the week, brought to you by What If. Unfortunately, due to the extreme weather on the weekend, our fixtures were postponed. Those games will be replayed at a later date, so please keep an eye on our website for when they're going ahead. Luckily though, even with the weather, this week we're able to make sure that our very important Black Rabbit TPD program was still able to go ahead with its 2nd session of the year, and we made sure there was still some opportunity for the boys and girls to get some strength and conditioning education and some football education with our NRL staff. Let's go behind the scenes and see what they worked on.
When we talk about our elite player and player development programs, that's covering our Harold Matthews, SG Ball, Jersey Flegg. We have part-time players within our New South Wales Cup system, and also, as I said before, our Harvey and Norman women's squad. So all up, we're looking at somewhere close to 160 players within that whole program. Obviously, our main priority with those 160 players is to get them ready for their week in, week out competitions that they play in under the South Sydney and South Juniors banner. I guess the Black Rabbits EPPD program, which is part of that, is mainly more looking at a selection of young men and women from all of those squads. Probably, I think in our initial year, our inaugural running of the program, we're looking at about 20 to 25 players. Which is a dramatic cut, I guess, from that summary of 160 players that are involved in our program. But making sure that those 20 to 25 are getting what we believe is specific one-on-one attention that's required to develop to that elite level over the next few years. So just some key things that I guess players that have the privilege of being involved in that program include is some more individualised programming around their strength and conditioning, their nutrition, obviously if they have any injuries, their rehab plans and the way we go about that. They, welfare-wise, are put through a lot more, I guess, attention from our welfare team. That group of the Black Rabbits is our welfare team actually does home visits with those players selected in that to make sure that they're getting the support mechanisms, not just from the club, but also from other environments around them to make sure they can succeed. I guess some really good feel-good stories there at the moment is this program's allowing opportunities for locals. So great local stories like that in the past maybe have signed with other NRL clubs or had to leave the area to get that level of elite training, I guess, that we're trying to get through the program. The other great advantage that those players involved in that will get in 2021 is that once a month they actually train over at the Redfern facility and they get exposed to NRL staff. We believe that's only going to help speed up the process and make sure they're getting the development that they require to make sure that when they do make that jump, if they're lucky enough, into our senior program, that it's not such a bridge too far to jump.
So it was great to get a look behind the scenes of what those guys have been up to. It's only early stages and I can't wait to see what the rest of the year in that program looks like. Just looking ahead to our Pathways games for this week. On Friday night, we see our first curtain raiser of the year with our New South Wales Cup taking on the North Sydney Bears out at Stadium Australia before the NRL. And we have a massive day on Saturday with all 4 grades back-to-back here at Redfern Oval. It starts with our Harold Matthews up against the Central Coast Roosters. Our SG Ball takes on the Victoria Thunderbelts. Our Jersey Flag in a local rivalry against the Sydney Roosters. And it'll be topped off at the end of the day with our Harvey Dawn Women's back on the field against the North Sydney Bears. Obviously keep an eye on our website for any late changes as the weather continues throughout the week.
Make sure you get out to as many games of footy as you can and support the Rabbitohs this weekend in both the Pathways and the NRL to be played at Stadium Australia on Friday night. Now, it was an emotional win for many people when we beat Manly on the weekend, and it's even more emotional as we head to taking on our arch rivals, the Sydney Roosters, this Friday night. Let's check it all out in the latest episode of our documentary series called Glory Bound. When it rains, it pours, and with it comes plenty of noise.
He's spoken a bit more this week during training about getting Damien Cook's running game out a bit more. He didn't run as many times as he used to.
When he came into the game and started to make his reputation, it was a lot of running. But the game's changed a fair bit since then, and they're all marking better. So I'm never really overly critical of his running game because it's just not always, not allowed those opportunities sometimes. The Storm did a good job on us there, and we weren't winning the ruck, so they dominated that a fair bit, and that nullified what he could do. So, yeah.
Do you think the criticism of Damien and the fact that he's being stifled in that running game is a little bit unfair this week?
Oh no, look, first one to me, he didn't have a great running game, but as I said, it comes to opportunities, and I don't want him running out there and getting tackled and going nowhere, and then we lose more momentum because he's not a big guy, so he's not going to win that tackle. He's not going to play the ball quick for us, and we're trying to play off the back of that. So those days are going to happen. They'll happen again this season, but the end result is he's an absolute threat out of dummy half, and he'll get it right.
Full credit to any fan who turns up today from either club, but I've already seen some of our fans that were in Melbourne last week as well, and they're here again today, so it shows you the passion and the loyalty they've got for our great club. I think people are ready to put the pandemic behind them in some ways and get back to normal and get out and watch their favourite players and their favourite teams play.
We're underway here. Cook goes across to Walker, out the back, touch on by Mitchell. Johnston into space, back on the inside, Walker is there. The left edge of the Rabbitohs. They can really lay on some points, and that was terrific.
Isn't that a penalty? Isn't that a penalty?
Back to Reynolds, who Grubbers. Cook is there. Walker fell over, and it's Reynolds trailing through, who grabs 4 points for the Rabbitohs.
Beautiful work from the little maestro, Adam Reynolds.
Come back to this left-hand side. Cook sees some space, throws a dummy, runs to Walker, still looking for the line. He gets to it. I think with the referee saying no try, you couldn't overturn it given what we saw. Here he Evans jumping out of dummy half. Grubbers for himself. Toes it forward again. Winning the race. Got a clip. And as a result, he'll go to the bin for 10 minutes. Shows it. Sees a bit of space. And he makes South Sydney pay. Before Reynolds from inside it. Surely he wasn't thinking about a 40-20. Well, he was.
40-20, let's go.
Now Walker tries to put one in himself, a ricochet off Cherry Evans. It's still there for the Rabbitohs, and Mitchell thinks he scored. Bonus 4 points as the siren was sounding for South Sydney.
Getting a bit more momentum through the middle, and I've just got to take my chances. So that's how the game goes as well.
We need some super glue. Jason Saab, he's got fresh air, and he can really motor. So can Damien Cook. What a chase by the hooker.
Grab it! Grab it!
Crash ball, lost it backwards, gave it to Marty to Powell. Now Marshall, a dummy, he's away, gives it to Nichols. Fresh air in front of him, looking for an option. Walker was there, he hung on to it the forward. Cook from dummy half, he takes them on, he scores! Damien Cook jumping in and coming up with a big 4-pointer here for the Rabbitohs. Cook waits. Now Walker out the back. Mitchell, great hands this time. That should do it. Mitchell for Johnston, who gets another 4-pointer. His fabulous career in red and green. Rabbitohs too good here at Brookvale.
For a lot of us last year, a trip down Botany Road wasn't as easy as it sounds. The simplest things we take for granted are always the ones we miss most.
Botany Road to the place I belong. Back to Redford, south of Sydney. Take me home, Botany Road. Take me home, Botany Road, to the place I belong. Back to Redford, south of Sydney. Take me home, Botany Road. Take me home, Botany Road, to the place I belong. Back to Redford, south of Sydney. Take me home, Botany Road. Take me home, Botany Road, to the place I belong. Back to Redford, south of Sydney. Take me home,
My name's Jake Murphy. This is my father, Fish Murphy. He's come down from Queensland, obviously with the whole COVID thing that's all kicked off. Burleigh Heads. Burleigh Heads. Brookvale's his favourite ground. Ever since I was a kid, he's always said Brookvale Oval has been his favourite ground. Obviously, after the whole COVID things happened, Dad said to me when it was kicking off last year, he's like, mate, the only thing I want to do is just get to Brookvale Oval and watch the Souths game. And here we are today.
We just love coming here to Brookvale. We've got kicked in the guts here before. It's good to come back year after year. It doesn't matter how we're going or whatever, but we love this ground. Is fantastic. It's iconic.
I love attacking footy. I love to run the ball, and that's always my game plan if the opportunity is there. So it was nice on the weekend to have a few runs out of dummy half.
Do you reckon Wayne planted that story so you'd read it and get a rev up?
Were you surprised with Damien Cook's critics last week? And to those people, I guess you had a pretty good statement tonight.
I'm never surprised about the critics. But they don't build monuments to critics.
Back on the streets of South Sydney, excitement is building for the biggest game of the year.
This rain's going to go till Wednesday. Settle down. These have to be the slowest lights in Sydney. My daughter goes for East, the youngest. And my sister-in-law in Minto goes for East too. And we was texting each other yesterday afternoon about the game. How they went, but I said, what happened last year when it was 60-8, South Sydney? She shut up then. They're going to have that on their mind next week too, you know. Robinson, yeah. I think he'll be reminding them. Don't think about last year. Good side from what I watched last night. In my opinion, we got a better side. Grab your bag, bud. No, you don't. Come on, walk up this way. Come on, quick.
Do I have to use it after school?
Yeah.
You know, I understand the rivalry. I grew up in the area, but for the boys that, I guess for someone like Benji or Jai, who sort of are pretty new to the club, don't really understand the rivalry as in-depth as, you know, some of the juniors like myself and Reno. It's just good for the boys to understand the rivalry and how big a game against the Roosters is, not only for, you know, the players playing, but the whole South Sydney community.
As South supporters, we love winning against the Roosters, and any time we get to beat them is a positive. So yeah, it would mean a lot, but obviously, you know, we want to do more than that this season, so can't be the main focus, but I think it's always important to beat them when we can.
I bet Latrell's looking forward to the opportunity.
Yeah, he is. Latrell's been great this year. He's probably more motivated than I've ever seen Latrell to be successful, to win.
I think it's going to be pretty fiery, you know, with Latrell. He's always pretty fiery anyway, and yeah, hopefully we get the win and show them what they're missing.
For a lot of the boys, it's a rivalry. I think for Latrell, it's playing his old club, so yeah, it just adds to the spectacle of the rivalry, and like I said before, it'll be a great day out for everyone.
Damien, you've played with James Tedesco, you play every week with Latrell Mitchell. Who's a better fullback?
Latrell Mitchell, easy. I think what we can all see is how well Latrell started the season off this year. You know, he knows his role at fullback now.
He's brilliant. Fair dinkum. Mate, he's a good player, that fella.
He's our go-to. With him on the field, we know we're a chance of winning every game, and you know, that's the same feeling I used to get with you know, Greg and Sam running out alongside them.
But Cookie is dubbing up, fair dinkum. One of the best.
We owe a lot to our members from last year. A lot of them, you know, especially stayed on and supported the club, didn't cancel their memberships when they could have. So we're going to go out there and put on a show for them this weekend.
I'll tell you what, it'll be a good tight game. We love playing the Roosters just because, you know, it's that one game where it's a grand final. Every time we play the Roosters, it's a grand final.
We hate them with a passion.
And we hate them.
We absolutely hate them with a passion.
Here we go. Does he kick this? Can he get the distance?
Yes.
Boom.
It's on its way.
Boom.
Distance good. Direction good. Flags are in the air. That's the biggest win ever. Over the Rooster side. By the men in red and green.
I'll write that down in the book of feuds.
Go the Rabbits.
Eastern
Come on.
suburbs, we hate you.